Tree of Life itself isn't anything. The chakras themselves, it's not really anything. But it isn't until you start working with it and start filling in the gaps. And basically, you have to build this stuff yourself. Like, you literally have to sit here and build this. I didn't realize that's what I've been doing all these years, which is why it's coming easier to me. And that's why I'm able to handle more complex data. Because I've built the Tree of Life in my own being. Like, the pattern is there, but it's up to every magician, every magus, whatever you call yourself. I think I'm going to start calling a scientist, ESI, scientist. It's up to every scientist to build this within themselves. Because, the average person will look at this and they won't see anything. You might have an idea, oh, this is the magic thing, but I don't know what this means. Oh, that's the sun, I guess. That's Earth, that's the moon. But we don't know what this means. You have to actually take the time to build this. And, I've called it, Dion Fortune's called it, Mars said it too, that this is like a filing cabinet to put the data into. So the study and the practice is the practice of filling up the file cabinet. I find that once you do that and fill up the filing cabinet with the right data, when I say right data, I mean that you're able to cross-reference between different fields, different books, topics, subjects, and it all checks out, it all balances, because what did Dion Fortune say? This has to balance with that, right? It has to be mediated by that. So all the data and all the scores, they got to check each other. When you start getting your data all balanced out like that, it starts coming to you so much more effortlessly. I love this stuff.
That makes sense. It makes sense because it's a concept, it's a framework, and you have to fill in the context. Like you were saying. Yeah. So it's just a framework of thinking, just like anything else. You know what I'm saying? They give you a framework, but you just like a personality. You have, it's just like a personality. There's a framework out there, which is, you're born, and then all of these different things are put before you, and you pick and choose which one you want to represent you. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost that's what it sounds like that you're saying to me.
Yes. The Tree of Life, the chakras, all this stuff is context. And we fill it with our content.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if the content checks out against itself, it proves itself. It checks out against itself. Then when we start reading like the more complex science, it makes sense because we have something to work with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah.
Like I said, there's going to be 7 rituals. A few of them we've already gone through like Dharam Darshan, Judy, of course. That is actually really popular, but it seems that everyone keeps asking to do a video on it, so I guess it's not as understood. But not only that, we're also going to tackle the subject of pranic timing and prana. Because even as Ophir mentioned, this Akashic light, it flows, and the Vedic system, they called it prana. Well, I've been studying deeply about prana, and I've broken it down into 2 categories. Well, shit, I don't take credit for anything. I didn't create none of this. But John Ananda broke it down into 2 categories. Read on page 13, he says, faculties of body and mind are subject to the influences of prana and chitta. Right? Prana Shakti is the vital energy controlling the physical sensory body. Chitta Shakti is the mental energy controlling the consciousness of the mind. So we're going to go over that, right? We're going to go over those exact fluences and how they work, how they happen. And this is what makes astrology make sense, right? Because it's the astrology that affects the prana. I was studying about the tattvas, and depending on what hour is ruled by what tattva, it affects how you breathe. And there's experiments to check. There's been experiments since the old days to check how you can tell what element is flowing, what element is influencing a particular prana at the time. But all that to say, when you start analyzing all these aspects, things that affect us and how we live and operate, you now have data to work with. You now have data to direct your life and move in a specific way.
Crazy. It's crazy that you can have a map of life. Life seems so random, man, but you can make your own map, you know. And for some reason, I always knew it was possible. You know, everybody, they say we have free will, but, you don't really see that out there too much. You see people being influenced by things. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I see now is influence. When I look at, because I look at YouTube sometimes, and everything out there is to influence you to believe this way or that way. You know, you see the battle of the sexes. You got feminism, and then you got red pill. You know what I mean? And then this shit is crazy. You know, you got the vaccinated, you got the unvaccinated. You got black and you got white. It's crazy, man. But everything is to influence your mind to think this way or that way. You know, and it's everything. Everything.
On every single imaginable avenue or platform. Hell, even in the little spiritual community, right? We got this verse. In the political, of course, we don't even have to talk about that. You know, I don't pay attention to this shit, but I know people who do. Now we've got these two albums that came out. They don't know this. I'm team this. I'm team that. It's humanity, right? It's a representation of our dualistic nature. We're at war.
Yeah. I've been seeing it a lot. Now you got the Afghan, this new thing they got, with Afghanistan and it's crazy, man, because you just see the influence. It's just like stirring people up. It's like bringing you up, bringing you down, bringing you up, bringing you down. And they just keep people on this constant wave to where you never actually are able to look at yourself. It's always some external thing, you know what I'm saying, that's pushing you in this direction, like you were just saying. Those tides are pushing. And I'm not here to say that it's right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? It just is, but I can see it, is what I'm saying.
I might even be willing to offer that they are looking at themselves just from an external point of view.
Yeah.
I have nobody to go to war with. My whole kingdom is balanced. So when I see those two things, I see them in balance. However, other people who are not balanced and they're at war with themselves, they're charged to fight that battle. So they express it externally. You're my enemy. I got to fight you. I team up with this side because we're against that side. That's a reflection of an internal battle, an internal struggle that isn't resolved. I don't think that you're going to solve it by looking outside yourself, but people who are completely like that literally can't run from that. They can't run from it. Like the person in the chat here that says, I wage spiritual warfare offensively. Who are you fighting against, man? You don't even know me. I don't even know you. Matter of fact, you don't even realize that we're talking about the same thing. Yourself, my man. Well, I can't do anything but find right data and information to bring it into that world.
Well, everybody out here got to fight. Everybody got a cause, man. And I'm in the middle. I'm Switzerland. Well, yeah, I'm in the middle. I don't have any dog in any fight. Like you said, I'm not at war with anybody. I left that alone a long time ago. And, it creeps back in though, because you do live, we do live a human life, or, what we consider a human life. And, it creeps in, but you got to be able to check that shit at the door. You know what I mean?
And like I said, like what you just said, it creeps in. From time to time, those kind of things may kind of like well up, but I don't give it a outlet. Like, you learn how to neutralize so they don't express themselves. It's part of the human experience, but the difference is most people don't have self-control or self-discipline So they just let that all bubble out. They got to go make apologies.
Yeah, I experienced some of that in my family. Moving back home and people, people's emotions, and it was directed towards my wife, and I was having to tell her, you can't give that any energy. You know what I mean? You can't give that. That actually has nothing to do with you. That is within that person that is actually pushing it towards you. If you give that energy, now is yours. Now is your fight. But if you just let that shit go, I swear to you, it'll go away. And it did. You know what I mean? Because it's like nobody wants to fight against themselves. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to fight against themselves. And if you don't give people that satisfaction or that energy, man, they'll go. It'll fade.
And it's even counterintuitive to kind of like give up the fight, like nobody wants. It doesn't feel right to back out of it. It doesn't feel right to not engage. But that's the answer.
That's how we've been programmed. I mean, that's actually not even just a program. That's like the natural resting state of the place. You know what I'm saying? You see all animals go through that. You know what I'm saying? Where they react to these stimuli. You know what I'm saying? But we have the capacity to actually, go beyond that animal instinct.
Right. Animal instinct. Animal. Everything just seems so animalistic. I'm spending less and less time on social media. Like, I know I'm supposed to because, I have to interact with what I'm doing and everything. But it just, every time I look, all I see is just animal reaction. No blame, no shade, none of that. It's just what I observe when I look. Reaction, reaction, reaction.
Yep. I mean, it's everywhere, and it's people. It's people that you looked at in the past, and you thought that they had, some, they shit together. And I'm not saying that they don't have their shit together. Like I said, it all sometimes creeps in, but everybody seems to be engaging in it, wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? Nobody seems to be being a voice of reason. You know what I'm saying? I was just looking at, I guess it was a couple of YouTubers, was a YouTuber attacking, because Black Magic had a joint on there where he had Dr. Phil Valentine, Panic, and Billy Carson on there. And they were attacking them. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were coming out of the woodworks attacking them, other YouTubers and stuff. And I'm like, well, why are you attacking, somebody's, I won't say opinion, but the way that they deliver their information. I mean, there's many different paths, many different ways, and this may open somebody up to go a little bit deeper, but they just attack it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the thing to do. And I know that's how social media goes. You know what I'm saying? You got to generate your own buzz, but it's just not for me anymore. Like you were saying, I can see all of the ego in it. You know what I mean? Because that's all that it is. It's total ego and bravado. Everybody is right and nobody is wrong. So it's interesting, man.
Yeah, I saw in the live a couple of people just not contributing positively. Basically just talking. Yeah, I was trying to look for a better word.
Okay.
Peace is familiar. Peace, Alchemy Gold. Peace, Cape Red. Yeah, I did catch that live, or at least it's level, man. Everybody's at a certain level. Like, if it's not for you, then leave. Like,
right.
that whole live stream, type in negative comments, the whole, like, what are you doing? You don't have nothing better.
Baffling, man. That is baffling. Like, that is the energy that I mean, but you know what? It's balanced though. You know what I'm saying? Because some people have to hold that energy. You know, it wouldn't be what it is if there weren't representations of that energy out there in bodies. You know what I'm saying? We have to swim. We have to learn to swim against the current, and a lot of times those fish that aren't able to, you're going to be knocking up against them. You know what I mean? And that's the way I think. It's like those people are supposed to be there because it would be too easy if it wasn't. You know what I mean? Everybody would just be going in the same direction. You know, but you got to have some adversity. You know, so I was telling Mom that, you know, Jesus and the devil or Satan were the same entity, just two sides of the same coin.
I mean, but I've just realized that Christ and the demiurge are the same entity.
Man, I've been saying that for a long time because when I was reading it, you know, because I've been reading the Bible. That was like what I first started with, maybe like eight years ago. And maybe when I was reading it, and he would say things like, get thee behind me. And it's like, well, why are you kicking it with him anyway? You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of dawned on me, oh, this is duality here. You know what I'm saying? Oh, damn, I see. Because then I saw, you know, I had further confirmation when I saw that, you know, Satan was the light bringer before Christ. You know what I'm saying? And then it started to make sense. You know, Satan is just the physical representation, because that's what they say he is, the prince of this world. You know what I'm saying? And Christ was that still small voice or whatever, or the transformation from that lower nature, that lower animalistic nature. When he took him on high, he told him he can have everything that he's seen. But then Christ was like, yo, I already got every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Get thee behind me. You know what I'm saying? You tempted me the wrong way. That's not how you're supposed to be tempting me. And I was like, damn, these motherfuckers are the same people.
Yeah, so the conversations between Christ and Satan, dialogues with self, that was the internal dialogue.
Exactly. An internal dialogue. And I was like, you know, and they even draw it in the pictures. You know what I'm saying? They even draw it in the pictures. I mean, it is confusing because people go off of literalism. You know what I'm saying? They are literal in the way that they interpret it. You have to be able to go beyond, you know, what your five senses, you know what I mean, and see these things in another light. And most people can't do that because they, like you were saying, haven't refined themselves enough to see those streams of energy intertwining. You know what I'm saying? That Kundalini snake going up, crossing, and you know, it's two sides of the same coin. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that I understand that much.
Making sense to me here. It's okay. So dealing with levels, and we talked about how the school system is killing the imagination of the kids and whatnot. It's true, right? Based on how they're teaching us how to think. Anyways, dealing with levels of refinement. And when you bring something mystical to people who are unrefined, they have no choice but to take it literally because they don't have refined senses. So the five sense reality of what I see, what I smell and hear and taste and touch, that's reality, and that's all there can be. That is unrefined and real basic and animalistic, right? That is the basic bare bones existence of man. Imagination is a higher level of interpreting reality, and it takes refinement to be able to utilize imagination. I mean, there's people who don't do a very good job with imagination. There's people, they can't visualize, they can't hear, all they can see is what's given to them. So naturally, they're going to be influenced by watching TV all day and Netflix. You know, they're naturally going to be consuming because they can't do anything else. But when you begin to refine those senses, imagination comes into play. And what does our little favorite author say? fantasy
Is the S. Yeah.
right? That's a clue that fantasy and imagination is actually a higher power. It's a higher skill because it's through fantasy, through imagination that we begin to open up clairvoyance, clairaudience, right? Because that's what imagination is. We're utilizing clairvoyance as we envision, utilizing clairaudience as we hear. And as everything is levels, we can even step those up into even higher levels, higher realities, become more and more refined. So someone who hasn't gone to that level of refinement, we bring mystical concepts, they literally can't see it. They have to have a man on a cross, long beard, long hair, holding a lamb, and petting the kids, whatever the hell is doing with these pictures. They have to have that. That's all they can do. But it takes someone actual refinement to see that, oh, there's a spirit aspect to this. So yeah, it would make sense to train people to not utilize their imagination, to keep them away from this type of information.
Right. I was born with that. I was born an artist. Like I was born, with that skill and that skill to be able to draw out of thin air and have my action figures actually doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would keep track of them in my mind. Like this guy was this guy was that. You know what I mean? So I was born with this, and I've always wondered, and I'm asking you, do you think that that's work that we've done in previous lives?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm not too certain just yet how incarnation works as far as it being a linear thing. Like I'm not sure if like you're born and die and come back right after that, come back. I'm not sure if it works like that. It probably does, but if it does, then it will make sense that what we're doing now is picking up from what we left off. And it seems like there may be a lot of things that we need just to tackle some of this higher stuff. So we're kind of equipped with it already. Like I also was equipped with that gift. I was able to draw stuff straight from imagination. I thought that was normal. And then I realized that other people, they have to look at something and draw it, look at something and have a model. I didn't know that that's how most people did it. I thought everybody did it like me. Like I'm sitting here, I envision this character, I draw him out, I'm like doing stuff. So, but then I went to the store and I saw that there were books that teach you how to draw hands, how to draw faces. Like, doesn't everybody know this? But yeah, I think that a lot of us come equipped with certain skills to help us pick up where we left off.
Yeah. I always wondered that, man, because there are certain things that I came in here with, you know what I mean? And I see that in my son, he came in here with certain things that I didn't have to teach him. He just picked it up and he just went along with it, and that just got my wheels to turn. And that's what actually made me kind of snap out of the fog is when I seen my kid, that was around 9-10 years ago. And it was like, this is strange. Because I was under the impression that everything had to be taught. Yeah. But he came in here with shit, and it was refined. You know what I'm saying? Like he was good at shit. And I was just like, and he was 2. You know what I'm saying? He was 2. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where the hell did this shit come from? And then it got my wheels to turn and like, I don't understand this, but I want to. And I find myself here today, still going strong, 9-10 years later, still trying to figure this out. Well, I won't say trying. I'm on my way to figuring it out. Yeah. But it's awesome. It's crazy awesome.
Yes. Especially when things start making more sense. And, you come to a point where you just accept that. Like, I'm not looking for the end. I'm just going. Because, like, when you learn and master something, the whole new world opens up. Shit, you got to learn and master. Learn and master that. And a whole new world. Like, this cycle has not stopped for me. I don't think it does stop for anybody. So it's like you just got to come to terms with that part of it. And then, wait,